We all see it too. We want to get him those balls in open space and let him run because it's fun to watch. So I think there's been some emphasis on getting him the ball. But there's been emphasis before, just sometimes it falls your way, sometimes it doesn't, and it has the last couple weeks.
He talked yesterday about just the, I guess, the growth he's made in his 7 years, right? He only wins the last couple, but have you guys had that discussion, just how far he's come as a person as well as a player?
Yeah, he's mentioned, that a couple times. Just, I mean, again, we've talked about it here. He was so young when he came into the league. Just growing up as a person, you know, had to happen. And again, the last 2 years, he's really been the same every day to me since he's been here. So I'm glad people are finally seeing like he's a leader on our team, on the field, off the field, all that. But I think the issues I think he's talked about, he's addressed. So
last year it seemed like he was starting to, statistically, he had that stretch there, middle of the season, like right before the bye, where it looked like things were, really trending upwards, and then he gets injured in Baltimore and misses some time. How much did that? Were we starting to see it a year ago, kind of that on-field breakthrough, and how much did those injuries last year sort of maybe stunt some of that a little?
for sure, he was on at the beginning of the year last year. We all saw the Pittsburgh game, and then he was starting to catch a lot of balls, and then obviously that high ankle. He's out for a few games, and then even when he came back, he wasn't exactly the same. It took him a few weeks. Then our offense was in transition, the quarterback situation. And so there was a lot of things working against his statistics at the back end of last year. But, yeah, like I said, this has been building. Okay, we've seen this in our building for a while that this is coming. And so I'm glad it's here.
I think there's a lot of organizations or coaching staffs that when it's rocky with a guy early, they might just give up on a guy. I guess what's different about this place, this culture, like how you guys kind of approach a situation like that?
Yeah, I think if you have talented players, you don't want to let them go. And especially a guy like Dave, who may have been frustrated, but he's a really good person. He's a really good teammate. He's a really good player. I don't think anybody in this organization wants to let guys like that out of here. So, yeah, there's going to be times where you're frustrated, things aren't going your way. But with guys like that, you want to keep them around because eventually it'll end up like this if you believe in the person and the player.
What's it been like in your room with, since you've had all the issues at quarterback, changes at quarterback? Since Joe's been here, the offense is different than it has been, right? So has it been like a shift back for you guys to kind of what you were doing at the beginning of 2022 with Jacoby, more the multiple tight ends and a lot of that from you guys?
Yeah, I think just obviously you try and build around the skill sets of the guys who are in there. And with Joe, that probably matches up a little bit more with what Jacoby was good at. And so it probably does look similar. But we try and run the same, types of concepts, the same types of plays, and just format them differently for whoever. So it doesn't feel that different, I don't think, to the tight end room necessarily. Now, we always like being on the field more. So the more 12 and 13 we can get personnel-wise, I think the tight end room will be excited.
Better catch, the one against Tampa Bay or the one Sunday against Chicago?
I think you got to give it to Tampa Bay. The stakes that were on that catch, 4th and 10, but both of them unbelievable. It's the first time Dave's had a few where he lets his feet get out of bounds. So I was happy to see that one get inbounds.
Good.
Appreciate it.
How's everybody doing? Great. It's great to be here.
And everybody else has made the case for Myles, Defensive Player of the Year. I guess it's your turn.
He's the Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can evaluate that. The obvious way is, like, statistically. I think his stats speak for himself, or speak for themselves. He's got a lot of sacks. He's got a lot of pressures. He's got a lot of quarterback hits. We all know the numbers. He's got tackles for loss. I don't know what the run rate or run efficiency is in his direction, but anecdotally, it's good for our defense. So he's a multi-dimensional player, run and pass. So, I mean, I think that's the start of it. And then I think you got to dig a little deeper beyond that. It's just a unique situation where the way that the opponents are forced to prepare for him, for Myles, is unique. Like, this doesn't happen that often. I don't think there's another player in the world that commands this type of respect and preparation and allocation of time and resources week in, week out in the game plan. I mean, Coach McVay from the Rams alluded to it, right? That's documented. I know he's not the only offensive coordinator or head coach that has the same sentiment. You know, he's continually being doubled, whether it's by the tight end on the line of scrimmage or the back from the backfield. That's, I think, obvious to my wife and kids who watch it on TV. You don't have to be a coach or a, experienced media person, a reporter to know that. The center slides in his direction quite often. Some of the techniques you see offensive linemen use to try to block him are unique or different. They have to resort to use techniques that a lot of people don't have to use or probably aren't taught that much to actually block an edge rusher. But, Myles just commands that type of those techniques. They're aggressive. They're a little different. You don't see them all the time, but those are happening. Those things alone, I think, speak to it. For me, being around him every day, seeing how he prepares, seeing how he works, it's never more evident to me than at the end of games. We talk about in our room about, messing things up for the offense, about getting off the ball. He does that. And then the last thing we talk about is finishing. He finishes plays. He finishes games. So, I don't know. As a young guy, I was a baseball fan, and my dad took me to a lot of baseball games, and I grew up watching Dennis Eckersley come in for the Oakland A's and just dismantle the Red Sox. And then when I got older, he was still taking me to games, and then I saw Mariano Rivera do the same thing for the Yankees and dismantling the Red Sox at the end of games, and it was kind of like this crushing thing. Are the Red Sox ever going to get over the hump? And they did. And this anecdote is not about me and my dad in Red Sox games. It's about, great closers. Dennis Eckersley, Mariano Rivera, Hall of Fame people, generational people who finish games. And I think that's what Myles has done this year. Last week, you watched the last two series, what he did in that game to help us win. Coach Schwartz talked about the crack toss play that the Bears ran. -5, -6, Myles made a ridiculous play. That's a run play at him, right? So we're not even talking about pass rushing. And then the next play after that, Jeremiah hit the quarterback, but Myles was about to right before Jeremiah did. And then the third down after that, I think MJ made the tackle on the flat. The ball kind of floated up. But the reason why the ball floated up is Myles had an unbelievable rush, beat the chipper, beat the tackle, threw the tackle on the ground, almost hit the quarterback. Quarterback threw it in the air, and they're punting. And then when you watch the last drive of the game, that ended up with the jump ball that we, came out on the right side of that. You watch a couple of those plays preceding that, the quarterback is throwing the ball out of bounds because Myles is about to hit him. If we go back the week before that, when we were victorious versus Jacksonville, there was a third down where Myles almost hit the quarterback, but it was a legitimate pressure, wasn't able to finish that hit, but quarterback scrambled. That was a third and long, and they went for it on fourth down. We got off the field. Then the drive after that was the 2-minute drive where I think there were 13 plays in that drive, including the 2-point conversion. I think I had Myles for 1 pressure and like 5 hits. And then the last play of that drive was a 2-point conversion, and he tackled the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage on a pass play, which is a sack. But it's a 2-point play, so it's not a sack. But it's a sack. So, I mean, and I'm not a, statistician, so, but, I mean, now we won that game by 4 points. If they converted that conversion, it's a 2-point game. It's a lot different going out for an onside kick on a 2-point score differential than a 4-point score differential, right? That's changing the game. That's closing and finishing the game. You watch the end of the Baltimore game at Baltimore when we won. How did that game end? It was Myles and Za'Darius run the quarterback down on the sideline. Week 1, which seems like 5 years ago, you remember Myles sack in the fourth quarter when he split it. So that's the end of my campaign, but the stats are there. The way people have to prepare for him is unique. Like, it's just different. And then the biggest thing is, the greatest thing you do in a game on defense is finish and close the game in a 2-minute drive. And there's other examples than the 4 I just gave, but he's doing that at a high level. I mean, he's our closer.
How about the fact that Chris Kiffin is down there and, just knows everything about Myles? How do you think that will help them in their preparation for this game?
Chris Griffin's an awesome guy. He's a great coach. I know him well. We worked together for a few years here. I'm excited to see him. I don't know if anybody's intel in the world is going to stop Myles.
And they've got Laramie Tunsil coming back this game, possibly, or probably.
Yeah.
So, that's probably one of the best left tackles he's faced all season, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch it. I know he's excited to compete with Laramie. I think you might have asked Mary Kay a similar question about Trent Williams when we played San Francisco. So it's going to be a battle. I mean, you got 2 of the best in the world going up against each other. And I think I said then I have the utmost confidence in the world that Myles can have success against anybody that he goes against. So I feel the same way.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
Off of that, though, what is it about Laramie? Because he has had some success against Myles comparative to other left tackles. What is it about him that makes him so good and such a great matchup for Myles?
Well, I mean, when you're dealing with guys who are this talented and this experienced, played in the league for a while, like Laramie, like Myles, right? I mean, Laramie's got the experience. Like, he knows how to play the game. He's got really good feet. He's got good awareness. And then he's, high first round pick. He's got good arm length. He's got good anchor, good strength. So, I mean, he's why you draft left tackles high in the draft, because they're good athletes. They're physical. They're long. They have good feet. They can cut off speed rushers. They can redirect and anchor versus power. So, we know what good tackles look like. He's one of them. Yeah.
All the good things that you said about Myles that he's done, it's still been, he's been a few games without a sack, right, not counting the 2-point conversion. And we know he's frustrated by the lack of penalties, right? And he made that after that Jacksonville game. So, do you see any frustration level with him because maybe things aren't going his way because he's not getting those calls that he thinks he should be getting?
Myles is a pretty focused, stoic guy in his demeanor. I mean, he shows emotion. We all do. But, yeah, I mean, I know inside, we all would like a penalty to be called here and there. But, that's not what we can control. So our focus is what we can control. And what can we control? Come to work every day, go to meetings, pay attention, ask good questions, go to walkthrough, be dialed in, work on our technique and walk through, work our technique and individual, practice in the team periods, work our run stuff, work our pass rush stuff. And, that's been his focus, focus on what he can control, and that's getting off the ball and messing things up and being great in the run game and being a great pass rusher. And then You know, that process there has served him really well his entire life, and there's no reason to deviate from that right now.
You get annoyed when you're watching sideline and not seeing the.
Well, I'm a defensive line coach. Like, no matter what, I'm going to get annoyed if we're not hitting the quarterback. So, I mean, I'm just being positive and coaching and, you know, having fun with the guys. And, you know, but yeah, I mean, shoot. But that's part of the job description, right? Yeah, okay.
I saw you on the sidelines of something, I can't remember what it was, but you were like really right in there in the weeds, getting these guys super crazy fired up. So what is your, you know, role in that regard in terms of just pumping up your guys?
Well, we have a veteran group, so sometimes I think like they're good, they got it. And then I'm like, you know what? It's my job to bring the juice and the energy when we have to bring the juice and the energy. You know, I always feel like it's if I show that I care, right, with some emotion, with my words, you know, it's a reflection on, you know, how much I believe in them and how much, you know, I care about them having success and our group having success. So, in case they forgot, this is how much I care about what we're doing together and how much I care about us kicking butt together. And that's the purpose of it. And, you know, I don't know if it's 100% effective, but I'm going to keep trying.
Or like teams having to prepare for Myles and the game plan for him, but does it make it even more impressive that like with all this preparation that teams are doing specifically about him, the impact that he still has across the board in different areas, even if it doesn't come in the sack?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Kelsey. Yeah, because if you, and we've had this conversation in this room about Z earlier in the year, if you evaluate everything on sacks, then that's your choice. But again, we have advanced metrics and we have people that chart things around the league and we all have access to that data. So again, like at the end of the Jacksonville game, he had a run of like quarterback hits. I mean, he's hitting and making contact with the quarterback while being blocked by one or two people and forcing the quarterback to throw it early or incomplete or out of bounds. Those are pressures, those are hits, right? So they have a huge effect on the game, just like sacks, especially in situations like that on 3rd down and 2 minutes. So the fact that he's doing those things at a high rate in those situations while being blocked by multiple people with some questionable techniques, so to speak, yeah, I think that speaks enormously to, you know, what he's still able to do with all the attention and, you know, resources used to try to prevent him from doing just that, hitting the quarterback and sacking the quarterback and pressuring the quarterback. So, yeah, the answer is yes.
Do you guys miss Obo? And what is your involvement in trying to, you know, communicate with him regularly and see what's kind of where this whole thing is going?
We miss Obo. We miss his energy and his juice. He's got an incredible spirit about him that permeates through the whole group. I feel like times in the past week or so, there's times where we just kind of all dial in and work because, like, I'm thinking about him, like, what would Obo be saying right now if he were with me right now? You know, but he's not. And, you know, his energy, even though it's not with us, right with us on the practice field, it's there because he's still part of us. And, yeah, I mean, we stay in touch, you know, text, talk on the phone. I know he's going through a process right now trying to figure out the best course of action for him in regards to his injury. And, you know, I'm not privy to the high-level decisions and stuff there, but I know he's doing everything he can to, you know, still be part of it.
Say about him that he is fighting like crazy to get back here and play, even though he's got a torn pec, which we know he's got we know it's torn. So
yeah, I mean, what does it say about Obo? It says that Obo loves his teammates. He loves to play the game. You know, he finished the Jacksonville game, you know, injured and played some plays, and we were just low on numbers in that game, and it was really helpful to be able to rotate him in there a little bit. And he was, you know, he did a good job too, considering everything. So it says that he's tough. It says he loves his game, cares about his teammates, and he wants to do anything he can to be with us and playing games, and we love him for that.
What is, we've talked about it a little bit before, but Shelby got to start last week and we made a bunch of plays. What has he brought to you guys this season?
Yeah, I mean, Shelby's a veteran dude who's had a lot of production in the league. I think it was a little bit of an adjustment when he got here just because the techniques that we use up front are different than some of the things that he had done for the majority of his career. And, you know, to his credit, he kept working through it because it's easy to revert to some of your old habits. And I think more and more we've seen in the last, you know, month or so, or maybe since the Arizona game, that, you know, it's starting to click for him more, it's become more natural and ingrained for him to use our attack style of football and defensive line play. And, you know, it's been fun to see because he's obviously helping us win games and making plays in the run and the pass game. So we're fortunate that he's part of the group. Thanks. Appreciate you guys.